Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moments. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Soul Land 3 Legend of the Dragon King Part 39 based on novel. So let's start. A green tornado gradually whipped up as Guu waved her hands in a mystical rhythm mid-air. Its viciousness increased as numerous icicles flew inside. The youth wielding an ice staff thought he was going to lose his mind. He simply couldn't figure out what this lady's martial soul was. If he said that her martial soul was of the ice attribute, then what was with that bright light? And then, what about this current tornado? As the icicles merged with the tornado, Guu's aura grew at an insane rate. Even though the youth was a fair distance away from her, he could sense just how crazy this soul skill of hers was. It's a dual attribute soul skill. So powerful. His second soul skill receded as his purple soul ring lit up. Tang Wulin's group watched the battle raptly. 1,000-year soul skill. They had never witnessed the might of 1,000-year soul skill before. Furthermore, 1,000-year soul skill was already considered high-end in the current era of soul masters. As for 10,000-year soul rings, Tang Wulin had only ever seen the one Wu Zhongkong had. Extremely pure ice energy erupted from the peak of the ice staff, slowly coalescing into a spear. Fury of Ice. A powerful soul skill attack. The ice spear grew to 2 meters in length. Faint magic patterns shone in its shaft. The students of Class 0 could instinctively sense its power just by looking at it. They were certain that none of them could survive a single strike from that spear. This 1,000-year soul skill is so powerful. There's still time for all of you to voluntarily withdraw, the youth said to Guu. His expression wasn't as cold as before. In his eyes, the fact that Guu was able to release such powerful elemental waves despite only having 2 rings made her worthy of praise. Although he had always been prideful, he now felt a bit of pity for her. The corners of Guu's lips curled. It wasn't a smile, as only one side of her mouth curled up. It was clearly a derisive smirk. The youth's eyes dulled with frost as he pointed his staff at Guu once again. The ice spear shot forward in a flash, piercing toward Guu like lightning. But in that split second, the icicle tornado in front of Guu crumbled apart and she disappeared in a flash of silver. Space attribute soul skill? Is it that legendary teleportation skill, the godly skill that can evade the lock-on of another soul skill? How can this be? Countless possibilities flashed through the youth's mind in a single moment. His fury of ice had already flown off into the forest and disappeared. Big brother, what's that above us? The young girl beside him suddenly pointed at the sky. The youth looked up. He stared, dumbstruck, at the sight of brilliant fireworks raining down upon them from the sky. Even though his soul power had reached rank 35 and he was the strongest amongst his peers, it still didn't change the fact that he didn't have enough time to prepare another 1,000-year skill attack which drained so much soul power. How can this be? As that last thought ran through his head, he moved to hit the button on the back of the girl's hand. He couldn't let his little sister suffer. Immediately afterward, he was baptized in water, fire, earth and wind. 2 lights flickered one after another, then disappeared. Only one of them had been sent out by the button, while the other had been destroyed by the 4 elements. Tang Wulin muttered, "That guy's actually decent." He knew to protect the person at his side first. As he finished muttering, Tang Wulin abruptly felt as if there was something wrong with the atmosphere. When Guu turned back to her team, she saw Xie Xie, Zhong Yangzi and Wang Jinsi standing there frozen, as if they were statues. Their faces looked even weirder since their emotions were in chaos. "What's wrong with you guys?" Tang Wulin asked, puzzled. Xie Xie respectfully bowed to Guu. "Big sister. From now on, you're my big sister. I won't ever argue with you again." Zhong Yangzi hastily mimicked Xie Xie's actions. "Hello, big sister." Of the 3, only Wang Jinsi remained as he was, bashfully staring at Guu with eyes filled with both admiration and fear. Guu silently walked over to Tang Wulin's side and dully said, "What's so amazing about defeating that arrogant guy?" Come on, let's go. As she spoke, the spirit energy that had surrounded the ice staff-wielding youth flew over to them like a storm. Of course, the one who absorbed most of it was Gu, followed by Tang Wulin, who was standing next to her. The spirit energy released from a soul master was no different from the energy received from killing soul beasts. After losing its host, the spirit energy would be absorbed by the closest being to it. On top of that, the closer one was to it, the more one would absorb. Tang Wulin finally understood why the other three had reacted like that. That was right. That was a three-ringed soul master, and not just any three-ringed soul master, it was one with a 1,000-year soul ring. That meant he had 2 spirit souls at the very least. They had seen just how powerful of a soul elder he had been when he had instantly killed the 6-armed fire snake. Yet, Gu had only needed a few minutes to defeat him. They could only imagine how strong Gu was now that she had 2 rings. Tang Wulin's heart began to race as he guessed what Gu's second soul skill was. Her first soul skill was Elemental Tide, which strengthened her ability to attract elemental energy, but in the previous battle, she had been able to launch numerous low-level attacks as well as an icicle tornado. Using those attacks, she had provoked her opponent to use his 1,000-year soul skill, giving her an opening to kill him with a massive low-level attacks afterward. This level of control was simply too powerful and was definitely impossible to attain with just her spiritual power. If it wasn't for her second soul skill, then just how had she managed to cover the sky with low-level elemental attacks? Although neither of Gu's soul skills were directly related to attacking, did she really need them to be? She could control 6 elements. With this array of elements, she could not only fight in countless styles, but also constantly change her tactics. And then there was her powerful spiritual power. Among the students of Class 0, she was undoubtedly worthy of being called the strongest. It was no wonder that Xie no longer had any dreams of defeating her. How could he even possibly be a worthy opponent for the powerful Gu? Although, Gu had been right. That ice staff-wielding youth had been careless and hadn't even bothered trying to understand her abilities. If he had been more cautious and immediately used his second soul skill to defend, he likely wouldn't have lost so easily. Furthermore, Gu couldn't possibly match him in a battle of attrition. Do you want to rest for a while? Tang Wulin asked Gu. Gu shook her head. Let's go. Without the protection of the man-faced demon spider's webs, it was extremely dangerous for them to stay in place for an extended period of time. Soul beasts are approaching. Zhong Yanzi, who was in charge of reconnaissance, urgently informed them. There are a lot. It seems to be a group of soul beasts, and there are at least 30 of them. They seem to be blazing demon lions. Horror took over everyone's faces when they heard his words. Lions were one of the strongest types of soul beasts that lived on land. Generally speaking, the greater a soul beast's individual strength was, the greater its inclination toward being independent. That way, they would be able to obtain even more resources. Only lion-type soul beasts were unique in this aspect. With a single leader lion as the head of a pride of lionesses, they formed a powerful force regardless of whether they were in the forests or the prairies. Even soul beasts that were far stronger than the head lion wouldn't dare to provoke the pride lightly. The combined power of the whole pride was simply too fearsome. Run! Tang Wulin shouted the order without the slightest hesitation before turning around to flee. Gu waved her hands and enveloped them in a green light. Its effects were stronger than before and now they felt as if they were light as feathers, giving them a large boost to their speed. The greatest and most powerful advantage of Gu's control over the elements was the fact that she could use them to attack, defend, and control, making her strong in every aspect of combat. Now that she had gained her second soul ring and become a soul grandmaster, her strength had received a massive boost, firmly cementing her position as the strongest member on the team. Xie took the lead and scouted for a path ahead while Zhong Yanzi continued to direct his little black eagle spirit soul to watch their rear. During his meditation, he had restored his spirit soul enough to come out again, but it was still too weak to contribute in combat and could only share its vision with Zhong Yanzi. If he wanted to completely restore it, he would need to meditate for several more days. A roar rumbled behind them. Soon, numerous red figures could be seen madly rushing toward them. Soul Masters weren't the only ones who could absorb spirit energy, soul beasts could too. It was precisely due to the powerful waves of spirit energy emanating from their bodies that had attracted the soul beasts. Blazing demon lions were one of the strongest soul beast races and could easily sense the students' spirit energy fluctuations, spurring their rapid pursuit. Run. If they could run for even a moment longer, then it was a moment longer they would live. Even a fraction of a second more would allow them to absorb a bit more spirit energy. They stood no chance against the whole pride of blazing demon lions. Perhaps if they all possessed 3 soul rings, they might have had a glimmer of hope. In a previous trip into the Spirit Ascension platform, they had been unlucky enough to encounter a pride of blazing demon lions and were met with a deadly fate. That horrific slaughter was still fresh in their memories. The blazing demon lions had surrounded them, and despite their best efforts to resist, they had been slaughtered within moments. For the rest of that day, they were plagued by the sensation of being burned alive. This pride of blazing demon lions was definitely an existence that stood at the very apex of the elementary Spirit Ascension platform. Though the man-faced demon spider was extremely powerful as an individual, even it wouldn't be able to survive an onslaught from a pride of wild lions. In such a scenario, its only choice would have been to flee. The head lion of a pride of blazing demon lions was equivalent to a 1,000-year soul beast. As for the remaining lionesses, every one of them had the cultivation of a 100-year soul beast at least, if not a 1,000-year level. They were able to become so powerful simply because they had very few natural predators in this forest. Regardless of whether it was an individual soul master or a group of them, it was practically impossible to defeat the blazing demon lions with only 3 soul rings. This was the reason why Tang Wulin had immediately given the order to flee the moment he heard that they were being chased by blazing demon lions. The only thing they could do now was to run until they either lost the lions or perished. Of course, there was a silver lining to this. The roars of the blazing demon lion scared off all other soul beasts. After all, the lions were just as terrifying to soul beasts as they were to humans. Regardless of which lion species, they all shared one thing in common: they were carnivores. They hunted both humans and soul beasts alike. As such, not a single soul beast dared to block their way in their mad escape. Even if a soul beast were to appear before them, they would soon flee in fear when they heard the declarations of the lion's hunt. Despite their best efforts to flee, however, the blazing demon lions were natives and were able to traverse the great forest far more quickly than humans. Coordination was useless in such dire circumstances. Surprisingly, the slowest one among them was Wang Jinsi. Just as the lions were about to reach him, he helplessly slapped the button on the back of his hand. Wang Jinsi disappeared in a flash of light, the spirit energy he had yet to fully absorb drifting over to the remaining 4 soul masters. The next slowest person was Ji Yu. Although she could enhance her speed with the wind element, she still couldn't hope to match agility system soul masters or Tang Wulin, who had been born with innate divine strength. She was the second one to hit the button on the back of her hand. Perhaps it was due to her meticulous planning, but after she disappeared in a flash of light, all her unabsorbed spirit power flew toward Tang Wulin with barely any dispersion. The remaining 3 were too preoccupied with the blazing demon lions drawing closer and closer to question her control over the spirit energy. For the time being, they were able to gain a little breathing room thanks to Ji Yu as she had cast a giant blizzard at the pride behind them before she exited, slowing them momentarily. "Captain, I have an idea," blurted out Zhong Yangzi. "What?" Tang Wulin urgently asked as he continued to madly flee. His method of running was different from Xie Xie's and Zhong Yangzi's, as he wasn't an agility system soul master, and lacked their raw speed. Instead, he possessed tremendous power. He would launch off the ground like an artillery shell, leaving a deep imprint in the ground each time. Every leap was filled with so much momentum that he didn't even bother dodging the branches. Instead, he plowed straight through them, just like a bulldozer. Tang Wulin's action simply left Zhong Yangzi and Xie Xie speechless. This wasn't the point though. The important thing was that with this method, Tang Wulin was actually a bit faster than the other 2. In fact, Zhong Yangzi and Xie Xie could enjoy a clear path as long as they stayed right behind Tang Wulin. There should definitely be some soul beasts flying in the sky. I'll try and lure them down here, and maybe they'll attack the blazing demon lions. Don't go, it's too risky. Tang Wulin immediately rejected the proposal. Provoking the soul beasts in the sky was an easy matter, but with one mistake, Zhong Yangzi would die. Zhong Yangzi smiled mischievously. This is the Spirit Ascension platform, we won't really be in danger. If worst comes to worst, I'll just be a bit shaken for a few days. We've already made enough gains to make up for the losses this trip anyway. I haven't contributed much this time, so let me try this at least. After he finished speaking, without even waiting for Tang Wulin's reply, Zhong Yangzi kicked off a tree branch and swiftly climbed up the tree with the aid of his wings. Zhong Yangzi had yet to forget his first experience in the Spirit Ascension platform. His failure that time had brought to light many of his shortcomings. It was then that he had truly understood he wasn't the most outstanding student in his class anymore. As he approached the top of the tree, a shocking scene filled his eyes. In his first trip into the Spirit Ascension platform, he had only seen a single green bird flying, but this time, he witnessed flocks of all kinds of flying soul beasts that covered the sky. There were a few green birds among the massive beasts and were in a chaotic battle against each other. Every once in a while, a killed soul beast would drop from the sky and into the forest thicket. What is this? Just as he was about to reach the tree's peak, he saw a giant nest with several pitch-black eggs within. The eggs were large, each similar to the size of a large ball. These should be a flying soul beast's eggs. Big brother is really apologetic, but I'll have to crack you. Zhong Yangzi quickly picked up an egg and lifted it overhead. Utilizing his second soul skill, Eagle Soars the Sky, he rushed into the sky. Hey, whose egg is this? Quickly come claim it! Zhong Yangzi shouted at the top of his lungs. The nearby flying soul beasts turned their gazes to this newly ascended human. A moment later, a gigantic black soul beast released a sharp cry full of wrath. Hee! Catch! While saying this, Zhong Yangzi threw the egg toward the speeding red specks on the ground. After provoking the flying soul beasts, he slapped his escape button with lightning speed. Mission accomplished. Zhong Yangzi disappeared in a flash of light while dozens of gigantic flying soul beasts dove into the forest. As the spirit energy contained within Zhong Yangzi's body began to disperse, the flying soul beasts arrived just in time to absorb it. I stole your egg, but you're gaining so much spirit energy that you're profiting from this. Of course, you still need to survive the battle with the blazing demon lions. These were Zhong Yangzi's final thoughts as he disappeared from the Spirit Ascension platform. The last two remaining heard a cacophony of twigs breaking and leaves rustling from behind them. Following that, the pressure of the lion's pursuit dissipated. Tang Wulin and Xie Xie exchanged a knowing look. They knew that Zhong Yangzi had succeeded. Nicely done. Xie Xie couldn't help but praise their fallen comrade. Zhong Yangzi had given up on absorbing more spirit energy in order to create an opportunity for his teammates to survive. Although, I don't think he had enough spiritual power to absorb much more spirit energy anyways. Ha ha! Xie Xie heartily laughed as he sped up once more. Tang Wulin couldn't help but crack a smile too. Although he was absorbing more and more spirit energy, he had yet to reach his limits. As for his teammates with 2 rings, however, they were probably feeling awfully bloated by now. Suddenly, a dark golden radiance flashed ahead of them. Xie Xie wasn't able to stop his mad dash forward in time, so his body was instantly sliced up into pieces and scattered onto the forest floor. Xie Xie's corpse then disappeared in a flash of light. Tang Wulin's scalp began to tingle. Without any hesitation, he shot blue-silver grass out of his hand toward a tree, forcefully changing his direction. Another dark gold light flashed by and an ear-piercing hissing sound came from where he had been standing just a split second ago. 3 lines in the air could be made out. Half of Xie Xie's spirit energy flew toward Tang Wulin while the other half flew in another direction. As he watched the energy fly away, a giant figure emerged. It was an enormous bear, its fur dark gold in color. Standing over 3 meters tall, it had thick arms and its majestic shoulders, akin to a great wall. for golden claws of at least 1 meter in length extended from each paw. Xie. Tang Wulin screamed in agony within his heart, for he knew just what sort of backlash Xie would experience after being slashed into pieces. Although dying in the Spirit Ascension platform did not signify a true death, Soul Masters would still face powerful mental backlash from their death experience. Though they all had plenty of experience in this by now, it was still Xie's first time being killed in such a gruesome manner. Tang Wulin could instantly recognize the formidable soul beast before him. As a matter of fact, it would be impossible for him to not recognize it. It was simply too famous in the world of Soul Masters. Reputed to be the strongest soul beast in the world, the Dusk Gold Dreadclaw Bear. It was rumored that the Dusk Gold Dreadclaw Bear was one of the most powerful bears within history, and when mature, it would not need to fear any predator, not even true dragons. Should a battle between titans come to pass, the outcome would be difficult to guess. The Dusk Gold Dreadclaw Bear preferred to live independently. Whether it be attack or defense, it possessed overwhelming power in every aspect. It truly was an existence that stood at the apex of the soul beast world. If the blazing demon lions were said to be one of the top predators in the elementary Spirit Ascension platform, then when faced with the Dusk Gold Dreadclaw Bear, all they would be able to do was beg for their lives. The reason was simple. Throughout the ages, the Dusk Gold Dreadclaw Bear had always been an existence that stood at the very peak. This Dusk Gold Dreadclaw Bear before his eyes was only 3 meters tall, but should still be at the 100-year level, if not higher. In comparison to other 100-year soul beasts, if it was said that a 100-year man-faced demon spider could kill a 1,000-year soul beast, then a 100-year Dusk Gold Dreadclaw Bear could make even 10,000-year level soul beasts run away in fear. That was just how frightening it was. Never in his wildest dreams did Tang Wulin expect to run into this legendary bear within the Rebellion Spirit Ascension platform. After all, wouldn't such an amazing beast appear in the higher-leveled Spirit Ascension platforms instead? Fight it. You have got to be joking with me. Tang Wulin threw his hammer straight at the Dusk Gold Dreadclaw Bear before turning around and fleeing. Clang! A metallic note rung out as the Dusk Gold Dreadclaw Bear tore the hammer apart with one swipe. Furthermore, it had already completely absorbed the spirit energy left behind by Xie. Such a powerful claw. At this moment, a bizarre thought popped into Tang Wulin's mind. Is my golden dragon claw stronger, or its Dusk Gold Dreadclaw? Pressured by the dangerous aura behind him, Tang Wulin felt as if the entire forest had darkened. As soon as the Dusk Gold Dreadclaw Bear had appeared, the entire forest fell into a complete silence. Not even the chirping of birds could be heard. Having dealt with the unexpected troubles from the sky, the blazing demon lions roared and rushed toward Tang Wulin. Tang Wulin knew that it was impossible for him to escape. He clenched his teeth and ran headfirst into the pride of lions. Regardless of who kills me, you won't get off lightly either. He didn't immediately hit his ejection button. To him, even a little bit more spirit energy absorbed could lead to a wonderful situation. He wanted to hold out and absorb as much energy as possible. The head lion stood over 4 meters tall and had a fiery red mana like a flickering flame. Its entire body was coated in an orange fire. A domineering aura emanated from its body, which was only bolstered when it roared wrathfully as if it was proclaiming its sovereignty. It was telling all the surrounding soul beasts that it was the ruler of this forest. With one glance, it spotted Tang Wulin, his rich aura of spirit energy instantly catching its attention. The blazing demon lion snarled a command to its lionesses, who quickly split up and surrounded Tang Wulin while it pounced directly at him. With such a fat slab of meat in front of it, how could it share with others? Its strength would leap substantially if it absorbed all of Tang Wulin's spirit energy. At that moment, however, Tang Wulin suddenly leapt up. A strand of blue-silver grass shot out. Pulling on it, he instantly changing his direction. A dark gold light flew out, announcing the arrival of the Dusk Gold Dreadclaw Bear. Its speed was completely uncharacteristic of its gigantic body. It hadn't made a single noise while running. Aflame with arrogance and wildness, the 1,000-year blazing demon lion took one look at the bear and, as if a switch had been flipped, it immediately pressed down on all 4 legs and skidded to a halt. The flames on its body blew out and even its fiery mana had become dull. It flipped over a few times and landed in front of the bear with its tail between its legs. Rather than immediately trying to flee, it crawled on the floor and let out some sad cries. This is the blazing demon lion king? Is it really a 1,000-year blazing demon lion? Tang Wulin was dumbstruck as he witnessed such a shocking scene. Isn't that guy just a little kitty now? That was right. In front of the dusk gold dreadclaw bear, the 1,000-year blazing demon lion and its lionesses were merely kittens. All their fires had extinguished as they crawled on the floor, swishing their tails as they begged for pity. The dusk gold dreadclaw bear didn't even put them in its eyes. Its icy gaze had been fixed on Tang Wulin the entire time. Tang Wulin urgently raised his right claw just as a dark gold light flashed, filling his heart with panic. He immediately pulled on the strand of blue-silver grass he had shot out and swung in another direction. A gigantic dark gold figure destroyed everything in the place he had been just a split second before. That was right. Everything. There wasn't even any rumbling as the trees, bushes and even the earth were torn to shreds. Dusk gold dreadclaw. That's a real dusk gold dreadclaw. It could even tear open a dragon's body. The humongous dusk gold dreadclaw bear soared into the air with a terrifying leap, overtaking Tang Wulin in a flash. I'll risk it all. A golden light twinkled in Tang Wulin's eyes as he directed all his soul power into his right arm. A wave of golden scales covered his arms and his golden dragon claw appeared. Compared to the huge dusk gold dreadclaw, Tang Wulin's golden dragon claw was simply tiny. He fiercely slashed at the dusk gold dreadclaw with his dragon claw. While attacking, Tang Wulin adjusted his posture in the air, keeping his head away from the bear. Even if his golden dragon claw was torn apart and his body was cleaved into two, it would be fine as long as his head wasn't destroyed immediately. If it were, the split second of pain he would experience would leave many residual effects. He had just decided on this retaliation, because if he didn't test the true might of his golden dragon claw, he would regret it. Clang! The golden dragon claw met with the dusk gold dreadclaw in an explosive collision. In the brief moment that their two claws had clashed, Tang Wulin felt all his soul power being drawn out and his blood boiling. In particular, the spot between his eyebrows was burning as a faint golden light appeared. As the dusk gold dreadclaw swept past, it not only missed his head, but also his entire upper body. Unfortunately, Tang Wulin's golden dragon claw disappeared in the next moment while the dusk gold dreadclaw continued to slash across his body. Xie had been torn in half vertically, while Tang Wulin was cleaved in half horizontally. The last thing he felt was his lower body separating from his upper body. An icy numbness washed over him as darkness enveloped his mind. Hurry! Quickly go save him! Does this child not recognize the dusk gold dreadclaw bear? Why didn't he hit the ejection button? An anxious voice echoed in Tang Wulin's mind as he gradually regained consciousness, the icy numbness fading from his body at the same time. A metallic friction sound rang out and in the next moment, light filled his eyes. I'm back. I'm fine. Those were Tang Wulin's first thoughts, but then he noticed something strange about his state. Why do I feel fine? His body had been shredded into pieces so he should be experiencing strong residual effects, and yet, he didn't feel anything in particular. How are you doing? Wu Zhangkong's face appeared above the metal box. Staff members also came over, prodding Tang Wulin's body with a sort of popsicle-looking thing. Are you conscious? Do you feel cold? Yes, Tang Wulin answered. He's awake and has feeling. This is odd. He recovered this quickly. Tang Wulin grabbed the edge of the metal box and slowly pulled himself up. A burst of weakness struck his brain, as if his mind had tired. Apart from this, everything else felt normal for him. Teacher, I'm fine. After confirming that his body had no abnormalities, Tang Wulin got out of the metal box. Wang Jinzi, Zhong Yangzi and Ji Yu were waiting at the side. Standing right beside his box, Ji Yu only let out a breath of relief when she saw Tang Wulin sit up. However, the box next to his was bustling with people. Xie, that's Xie's box. Xie should be fine, right? Tang Wulin anxiously asked, how is Xie's state right now? Wu Zhongkong said. He managed to avoid having his head destroyed at the final moment, but the spiritual backlash for the rest of his body is still great. He's currently unconscious, but he should wake up after resting a bit. Oh, he's conscious. A long sigh of relief escaped from Tang Wulin after hearing that Xie was awake. The most important thing after exiting the Spirit Ascension platform was waking up. As long as one was able to wake up, the body would be able to slowly recover. After all, they hadn't truly sustained any injuries. Tang Wulin quickly reached Xie's box and peered inside. Xie's complexion was pale and his body was twitching. Abnormal twitching of the body was a typical residual effect from dying in the Spirit Ascension platform. Twitching is normal after dying in there, but there aren't any effects in my body at all. Why aren't I twitching too? Tang Wulin wasn't the only person thinking of this question. Within Wu Zhongkong's heart, he was asking himself the exact same question. It was obvious, however, that Tang Wulin was unable to answer this question. As long as everybody is fine, then that's good. Wu Zhongkong dully said. Wulin, thank you. Xie's weak voice called out from the metal box. Huh? What are you thanking me for? Tang Wulin smiled bitterly. Xie forced out a difficult smile. Thank you for your 1,000 refined cloud titanium vest. If I hadn't worn it on my shoulders, helping to block some of the attack and giving me enough time to react, then my head might have been shredded too. That would have been truly troubling. It was only then that Tang Wulin understood Xie's words. Although it had seemed to him that Xie had been sliced apart, the vest had still slightly protected him. With his sharp reflexes as an agility system soul master, he had just been able to narrowly avoid having his head destroyed. Come to think of it, it was also like that when the Dusk Gold Dreadclaw Bear tore me apart from the waist down. It's just that I was already dodging at that time. You guys cheated. Wu Zhongkong's cold voice suddenly cut in as he stood there holding a vest. That vest was undoubtedly Xie's, stripped off during his post-ejection medical inspection. Tang Wulin immediately blushed with embarrassment and awkwardness. Teacher Wu, that shouldn't be considered cheating, right? I only made it because I was afraid everyone would suffer like Wang Jinxi the first time. Wu Zhongkong handed the vest to Tang Wulin and indifferently commented, the craftsmanship is not bad. You can already 1,000 refine. Tang Wulin was stunned. Yes. Wu Zhongkong said, for the first part of your final exam, everyone gets full marks except for you, the captain. You get points deducted because you cheated and encouraged your teammates to cheat. Your final exam score is... Tang Wulin listened anxiously for the final verdict, his heart racing. Just 99 points. Huh? 99 points? That's not a huge difference from 100 though. At that moment, Tang Wulin was at a loss as to how to react. The Zhong Yangzi at the side had already started yelling, "Long life Teacher Wu!" Wu Zhongkong coldly responded, "Don't get so excited just yet. There's still one more section to your final exam. You will need to pass this section too in order to pass your exams." A staff member brought out a machine to stabilize Xie's conditions. This machine sent electric currents into his body to alleviate the side effects of the Spirit Ascension platform. Xie had suffered from many residual effects after being killed, so it took him over an hour before he was able to muster enough strength to sit up. Everyone else had already recovered and were all waiting for Xie. Tang Wulin walked to Wu Zhongkong's side and softly asked, "I still have another entry card for the Rebellion Spirit Ascension platform. Am I actually able to go in again?" "Amen." Wu Zhongkong stared at the card in Tang Wulin's hand, a trace of astonishment flashing through his eyes. "The Blacksmiths Association gave this to me." Tang Wulin didn't bother trying to hide it. Wu Zhongkong's impression of Tang Wulin changed. He then shook his head and said, "You don't need to go in again. There's no meaning in it for you. As the rebellion period progresses, the Spirit Ascension platform will grow increasingly powerful, and even more rabid soul beasts will emerge. If you go in right now, you won't be able to survive for long at all. You can just hold onto the card for now and use it during the next rebellion period. The card itself is also worth a lot. You could auction it off for quite a sum. Tang Wulin had originally wanted to return to the Rebellion Spirit Ascension platform to absorb more spirit energy, but after hearing Wu Zhangkong's words, he understood that his thoughts had been too naive. Teacher Wu, I have an idea, but I'm not sure if it's possible to achieve or not. It's about the spirit energy we absorbed. This time we... Just as Tang Wulin was about to explain, Wu Zhangkong's hand shot out and covered his mouth. Wu Zhangkong's eyes shifted to the nearby Spirit Pagoda staff members, then whispered, "We'll discuss this when we get back." Tang Wulin realized his error. That's right. We had absorbed so much spirit energy this time that we must have surpassed the average. I really shouldn't talk about this in front of the Spirit Pagoda members. Yes? Xie was piggybacked by Tang Wulin all the way back to the academy. Although Xie was recovered now, he still didn't have full control over his body and all his movements were uncoordinated. According to a Spirit Pagoda staff member, he would need at least a day to recover from this state. Fortunately, there would be no lasting effects. As for whether a shadow had been cast over his heart, only Xie could answer that. I'm fine. I didn't even see what soul beast killed me, so why would I have a shadow over my heart? Xie said, all thick-skinned. That's good then. A faint smile appeared on Tang Wulin's lips after hearing such a typical response from Xie. Xie grumpily complained, "It's so unfair. You were slashed apart too, yet why are you completely fine?" Tang Wulin shrugged. I don't know either. Anyways, I'm just happy I made it out all right. Perhaps it's also related to your body strength. Your body is still too weak. How about you come with me on morning runs from now on? It'll increase your constitution and strength. Xie teased, all right. I can go meet that senior sister with you then. Tang Wulin blushed crimson. What meeting with the senior sister? Stop talking about things you don't know about. Ji Yu's gaze instantly locked onto Tang Wulin, while Zhong Yangzi and Wang Jinsi cast curious glances in his direction. Tang Wulin said dismissively, it's nothing. There are a lot of people going on runs in the morning, so naturally I've met a few seniors. Even though the words he spoke denied it, a delicate face appeared within his heart. It was just as Xie had said, every day he would be able to see Ouyang Zixin on his morning runs. Although he only greeted her each time and occasionally spoke a few words with her, the more he ran, the more familiar he had grown with her. Moreover, he was so accustomed to seeing her every morning that disappointment would fill his heart if she wasn't there one morning. Go back and rest properly. We'll be summarizing your experiences tomorrow. Tang Wulin, come to my quarters. Wu Zhongkong immediately issued out these commands the moment they arrived at the academy. Tang Wulin first delivered Xie to his room and laid him down to rest before heading over to Wu Zhangkong's office. Wulin, you must remember that in the future, regardless of whether it be the Spirit Ascension platform or the Spirit Pagoda, you mustn't speak of any ideas. Instead, wait until you come back. Understood? Wu Zhongkong advised. Tang Wulin nodded. Understood, teacher. But why? If the Spirit Ascension platform has a problem, shouldn't I tell the Spirit Pagoda? This video will end here.